I'm Shep Hyken, and here's what's coming up next on this edition of Be Amazing or Go Home. Achieving customer amazement. The people have spoken and the results are in. Our annual study shows what customers want and what they consider to be an amazing customer experience. You don't want to miss what this survey says. Nice experiences that flow. How do you fix what's not amazing in the customer service experience? We sit down with Laura Bassett from NICE, one of the world's cloud CX leaders, to find out how to make amazing customer experiences flow. You don't want to miss it. The Leaders Playlist. Leadership is the cornerstone to success, and Susan Drumm joins us to talk about the path to enlightened leadership. We'll talk about how you can unleash the power of groundbreaking techniques to transform your leadership capabilities. Stay tuned for this. And whatever you do, do it well. Customer expectations and their willingness to change brands have never been higher. The amazing quote shows the importance of creating a consistent customer experience in order to keep the customer coming back. So, are you ready to be amazing? Well, stay tuned for all this and much more coming up next on Be Amazing or Go Home. Hello, I'm Shep Hyken, and this is Be Amazing or Go Home, the show dedicated to take you from average to amazing. How well do you know your customers? Well, the results are in, and research shows that customer behavior is changing. Expectations are higher. There's tension between customers and the brands they do business with. The willingness to leave a brand to do business with another has never been higher. Our annual research, the Achieving Customer Amazement Study, was created to help you better understand your customers' preferences, habits, and wants, and give you the confidence to make better decisions for your organization's customer service and customer experience initiatives. We want your customers to say they are amazing. So with that in mind, here are the top 5 highlights, facts, and stats from our 2022 Achieving Customer Amazement Research. Number 1, 78% of customers would be willing to go out of their way to do business with a company that has better customer service. That's a huge number and certainly puts you at a competitive advantage if you can outservice your competition. Number 2, 58% of customers believe amazing customer service is more important than price. This goes along with our first statistic. It shows price is less relevant, and the person or business who can provide better customer service usually wins. Number 3, 83% of customers trust a company or brand more if they provide an amazing customer service experience. Now that's up 4% from last year and validates that creating trust is paramount to creating customer loyalty. Deliver that always predictable experience, and trust and customer loyalty will follow. Number 4, 59% of customers think customer service is worse now than before the pandemic. Most businesses had to alter the way they did business because of the pandemic, but the quality of customer service should not suffer. Make sure you're not causing any friction in the customer experience, because these stats prove amazing service gives you a competitive advantage. And number 5, 75% of customers would switch to a competing brand or company if they found out they were more convenient to do business with. Bad service costs you business, and customers could be scooped up by your competitors by simply providing a better and more convenient customer experience. Well, our Achieving Customer Amazement research also shows why customers leave and ultimately switch to a competing brand or company if they found out they provided a better customer experience. So later in the show, when we get to the amazing quote, we'll share 5 reasons that customers don't come back. To get the full Achieving Customer Amazement report, go to www.hyken.com/research. The report is free and will help in your efforts to create an amazing customer experience. We talk a lot on this show about removing the friction between businesses and customers to create amazing experiences that build brand loyalty and forge unbreakable bonds. But what happens when the experience isn't so amazing? Or more importantly, how do you fix the unamazing experience? Well, Laura Bassett from NICE, one of the world's cloud CX leaders, joins us now to talk about how you can power seamless experiences for every customer journey. Laura, welcome to the show.
Hi, Shep. Glad to be here today.
Well, I'm excited that you are here. So let's talk a little bit about NICE, first of all. Tell the world what NICE does and what they can expect to learn if they were to go to your website and learn, like, hey, I'm interested in creating better experiences for my customers.
Sure. I mean, I think that's it. First and foremost, we are a CX company, a customer experience company. You know, our core job is to help businesses improve their customers' experiences. And in order to do that, we focus on outcomes. We focus on the tools that they can use to deliver those experiences, including enabling their agents and employees to do the same. And so, you know, if you go to the website, you're really just going to see examples of how we've done this for other companies and ways that we can assist really any business out there in their objective to deliver optimal CX.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, you're all over the world working with some of the world's largest, most recognizable brands. So things have changed in business, and typically interactions like you're talking about start in the contact center with customer service agents, but that's changed. So share with us what's happening in the world today in customer service and experience.
Sure. And you're right. It has changed. Over the last couple of years, we've seen a dramatic shift in customer behavior to the degree that now more than 80% of the consumers out there, the customers of your businesses, are starting with any need that they have to engage with the business with a digital first interaction. That means on the web, you know, not necessarily on your website, not necessarily on your mobile app, but on Google, on YouTube, on Twitter, right? So that really means in reverse, at most 20% of those needs are actually starting by reaching out to your business directly, right? To a business directly. And so if we really hone in on that, that means customers are starting on the web, and it means we as businesses need to be able to extend our ability to serve them beyond the boundaries of our own companies.
Right. And I believe they're not just starting on the web, even if they're doing business with you for years, when they have a question or they want to learn something, rather than call their sales rep, they are going straight to the internet, to your website. They're doing a Google search. I was really excited to work with a company once when I asked, you know, how do you handle customer support? Do I call? Do I have to submit a ticket? And they just said, go to Google and type in your question. How do I do blank on this company software? And within moments, multiple answers came up, some from the company and some from customers who were actually sharing videos on the answers to my questions. And it was a great way to get that customer experience and that question or problem resolved that I was having.
Yeah, you hit on something key there, and that is the ability for businesses to project their information and have it be one of those top responses that might come up via a web search, you know, what that web search being Google or one of the other search engines out there. You know, but how is it SEO optimized to get to the top so that you can ensure that your customers are getting the right answer, but also embrace the fact that there are other consumers out there actually helping your cause, posting those videos for how-tos and how they resolved a problem, right? How can you take advantage of those as well?
Yeah, I think this is really important. I believe most brands would want to control the narrative. And I've heard clients say things like, well, we don't need to be on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. And I say, look, whether you're there or not, your customers are there and they are talking about you. Don't you think you should be part of the conversation? Don't you think you should be providing the right information for the customers to learn from?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had an experience of my own where I did the same as you. I went to Google to try to find how to fix the problem. I went to YouTube. And more what I found were testimonials of not being able to fix the problem. And if this particular company had stepped in and realized that, they could have actually turned that around and placed their own narrative to understand what the issue was and what people are attempting to do to try to fix it. Right.
Right.
So that's an example of a great opportunity to fix that unamazing experience.
All right. Well, speaking of unamazing, let's talk about amazing and unamazing. But if amazing is to be the standard, how do you go about that?
Yeah. So I think I would start first and foremost, all businesses should have a priority to offer an amazing CX, an amazing experience as a standard. You'll notice sometimes I tend to abbreviate that myself. But as businesses, in order to do that, we have to realize that everyone in the business actually owns that responsibility of serving the customer, right? Everyone is an agent, as we call them, right? It's not just a contact center job. Because really, as businesses, where are we without customers? And how many places do they engage across your business, known or unknown, that you're influencing that relationship?
Yeah, and I believe go a step further. If you're not dealing directly with the customer, you're supporting somebody that is, or you're involved in the process that the customer is interacting with.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And so the question is really, how do I ensure that? How do I know where those are? Right. And how do I influence those? Or how do I let that actually become a good thing for my business?
So do you have some strategies on how to be amazing?
I'd say one of like, how do I ensure amazing? Right. It's the name of the show, Be Amazing or Go Home. Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's about taking a step back, kind of resetting the viewpoint, right? To become amazing, really you need to focus on two things. Understanding the experiences that are being received today. That's much different than the experiences that you are delivering today, right? Because you don't actually then that takes away what you might not know and experiences for a customer, right? So what are the customer experiences that they're actually receiving to get today, and where are things breaking down? Right. And so that leads to focus on fixing the most unamazing experiences. Right. And then second, I would say, remember, simple and seamless is really what drives amazing. As a customer, I don't need it to be complicated. The easier you make it, the more you create amazing.
Simple and seamless. It seems so easy. And really, at the end of the day, amazing isn't all that difficult. You just have to keep your eye on the ball, pay close attention, understand where you are, understand where your customers are, and that's what Nice CX and Laura has been talking about today. Laura, thanks for being on our show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Time now for the Amazing app, brought to you by Outreach Studios. And this app says the future of health can be wrapped around your finger. Aura, and specifically the Aura Ring, monitors your sleep, heart rate, activity, and body temperature with personalized insights. Aura gives you daily scores to guide you, and the first score is based on sleep. We talked on an earlier episode of Be Amazing or Go Home that good health starts with a good night's sleep. And the Aura Ring's state-of-art sleep staging algorithm accurately tracks the quality of your sleep. Unlike other wearables, Aura factors in your key vitals to determine your quality of sleep, how much time you spent at each sleep stage, and much more. Aura learns about your sleep patterns and shares personalized guidance on when to start winding down to improve your sleep quality. Aura also gives you daily activity scores, which answers how you are balancing your activity, your inactivity, and rest by analyzing your daily movement, heart rate, how much rest you're getting, and much more. Aura provides a readiness score by telling you how much you and your body can take on based on your sleep, activity, and body stress signals such as body temperature. There's even an Aura for Business feature, which helps companies, brands, research institutions, and more promote and monitor health and wellness across their organizations. So, by using cutting-edge technology and personalizing the experience, Aura reduces any friction between you and your health goals by simply wearing the ring. All this and more makes Aura a convenient solution and truly one amazing app. Leadership is the cornerstone of success, and Susan Drumm has dedicated her life to helping people find their path to enlightened leadership. And her podcast and soon-to-be-released book, The Leader's Playlist, will showcase groundbreaking techniques and strategies to enhance your personal and leadership effectiveness. And joining us now to talk all about this and more is Susan Drumm. Susan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm excited about the book. I know a little bit about it. I've read through some of the summary. I've got to ask, what do you mean by playlist? Because when I think of a playlist, I think of, my Spotify playlist. And I know it's very similar to that, but this is what's happening in an executive's head.
Yes, we all have an internal playlist that is running us or our leadership effectiveness. And I will tell you that the more you can get clear on what that background music is that you're putting out to the world, the better your leadership effectiveness will be, because you'll be able to shift it. But you need to know that we're using music both literally and figuratively.
So it's not like, are you actually creating a playlist? I mean, or is it not like a real playlist? It's just something in your head that you hear yourself, for lack of a better term, singing to yourself over and over again?
It's both in a way, because first it's the underlying belief that has you point to what information you take in and see as possible. And that shapes your leadership and what it looks like. But also, it's using music to change patterns. It's essentially a brain hack. Music lights up all regions of the brain. And what we found is you can use music to get in touch with the deeper core emotions that are part of this playlist that's running you. And the playlist was started long ago in childhood. So what I say is your childhood wounds are actually influencing how you lead today. And we're taking music to a much deeper level to say, and you can switch how you respond to circumstances and events based on using the power of music.
I mean, so much of what you do is it's how you're brought up. It's the how you're treated, how you've learned in school. And that's what's going on in your background as you grow up. And when you finally are a leader, you have all this, sometimes it's baggage or sometimes it's experiences, depending on how you look at it. And what you're saying is that's like a playlist. And I think of the playlist in traditional terms of a music list. I know that, and I know you and I've joked about this before, that I have a playlist for customer service songs. My favorite one is "Let's Give Them Something to Talk About" by Bonnie Raitt.
Yes.
It's like the lead song on my playlist. So as we're thinking about this, I want to get back to the wounds that you have young. But how does this playlist transfer to customer service, employee experience, or anything related to driving the culture of a company?
Absolutely, because how you act as a leader is going to show up in how you lead your team and ultimately the frontline workers who engage with your customer. So how you're engaging and leading them and getting them excited about the work that they're doing will make all the difference. If you have this identification of, the way I see the world is I feel like I'm treated unfairly or I'm left out. We don't know that that's really going on. Most people wouldn't walk around going, I'm treated unfairly. But if you look at the circumstances in your life and over time, the things that you're running away from versus running towards, that will tell me everything in terms of which playlist are you listening to. So it's going to directly impact your team's ability to connect with the customer themselves and really focus on a meaningful mission, which is serving them versus feeding our own childhood wounds.
Got it. So now I understand the childhood wounds and any experience you had as a youth coming out in later years
Yes.
for anyone. And obviously that impacts somebody that's focused on a culture that's customer service, it's customer experience, it's employee experience, it's how you lead your team. Can you give us an example of how a playlist transformed a leader?
Oh, yes. There was a leader I worked with who got some 360 feedback that she inserted herself in too many meetings and was always a bit upset when she was left out of important communication. And her perspective, this was important information that she needed to know that would help run her business. So she had a legitimate, from her perspective, beef about this and saying, I can't do my job unless I understand. But what we did is we looked a little bit further back to say what a trigger it was for her to be left out of something. And I said, this is not just about this job right now. This is about other circumstances in your life where you've been left out. And we actually traced it back to various experiences, but one in particular, when she was a child, her sister was the beautiful one and she was the mousy one. And everyone would fawn over the sister and not her. So she had a very visceral experience of being left out and not included, that now she's hyper aware of that. And when she got clear of what that was, that voice or that message of, I'm always triggered by being left out, then we created a song that would let her know that's basically a neural pathway that's been grooved in the brain. That's like an 8-lane highway. And we came up with a song that would have her know, that helped her catch herself when she was about to go down that 8-lane highway to hell. And that song was Adele's Hello. It's like, hello, yep. Can you hear me? Right. And we helped her create a new playlist from that to say, what are the songs that have her feel included? What are the songs that have her feel welcomed? And she created a whole list of 10 songs. She listened to it in the morning when she started her day. She listened to it at work or lunch breaks, driving. And it got her into that emotional resonance. And that's what we're talking about, in that emotional state where she didn't feel like she needed to defend herself and insert herself so much. And then she found she was actually welcomed. And then her whole leadership changed and she had great relationships with people because she started to heal that internal voice herself.
Love it. So she took the background that she had that was causing the problem. She created a playlist of songs that would get her in the right frame of mind to get her away from that problem, and she became a better leader as a result. Great story, great example, and the book is great as well. It's titled The Leader's Playlist. Susan Drumm, you are amazing as always. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's time to hear from you and time to Ask Shep, which is brought to you by Outreach Studios. You can find me anywhere on the web, including these social channels. So use the hashtag AskShep to ask me your questions and share your amazing stories. So let's begin. Troy Hartman owns multiple franchise restaurants, and he asks, just like many businesses, I'm having difficulty keeping employees. Any suggestions? So your experience, which some are referring to as the Great Resignation. Well, I'm sorry to hear about this. So how do you get people to stay? Well, first, show them love before they think about leaving. While financial compensation and benefits are important, employees must feel appreciated and fulfilled. And here's a specific suggestion. Find out why your longer tenured employees are staying. So how do you do it? Just ask them. Same as you do for exit interviews with employees that are leaving. Do what I refer to as the staying interview. Find out what makes your best people want to stay. Next, we have Sarah Fink, who owns and operates an accounting firm, and she asks, well, we don't have the type of business where customers can leave feedback on Yelp or Google. How can we get feedback? Well, feedback is a gift, but you don't want to wait for the customer to give it to you. So ask. You do that by simply emailing a survey. I've just started suggesting to clients a program from realtimefeedback.com. They provide a QR code that customers scan, and then they answer questions and provide feedback that is immediately sent to you. It's easy for the customer and provides you some very powerful insights. So there are many different sophisticated ways to get feedback, so let's just make this easy. I'll go back to what I said at the beginning of this answer. Just ask for it. Finally, we have Angie Neal, who manages a department store, and she asks, how can we create better customer service? We ask our customers for suggestions. Any other ideas? I'm so glad you're getting customer feedback. The question I just answered could help, but let's try something else. I have a rating scale that employees complete. It's a scale from 1 to 5. At one end is unacceptable, then basic, then good, then world class, and finally trademark. Now, obviously, you want to stay away from unacceptable. And basic is the equivalent of average at best. Now, good is better than average, and most of our clients think they are at least good. World class is the equivalent of excellent. And trademark is a level where others use your company as a noun or a verb to compare you to others. For example, people might say they're the Cadillac of their industry, or they're like the Chick-fil-A of their industry. Now, Cadillac and Chick-fil-A have reached trademark levels of service. It's quite a lofty goal. For now, go for world class. And by the way, whatever your employees rate you, make sure it's in line with how your customers rate you as well. I've seen it many times where leadership of a company thinks they're providing better service than the customers think they do. So, are you ready to be amazing? Remember, you can find me just about anywhere on social media. So connect with us on our social channels, and don't forget to use the hashtag AskShep to ask me your question or share your amazing story. Time now for the amazing quote brought to you by Outreach Studios. And it comes from the man who dedicated his entire life to creating his version of moments of magic. And that's Walt Disney. Do what you do so well that they will want to see it again and bring their friends. Let's assume that whatever your customers are buying from you will meet their expectations. That's not always why the customer buys from you in the first place, let alone comes back to buy more. It's the customer experience that drives that and keeps the customer coming back. Now, earlier in the show, we talked about this year's Achieving Customer Amazement research, which shows the customer is more willing than ever before to change brands if it provides a better customer experience. So why would a customer switch companies or leave a brand? Well, here are 5 top reasons customers don't come back according to our Achieving Customer Amazement research. Number 1, rudeness or apathy from a company or brand employee. This was the number 1 reason, coming in at 75%. What's interesting is this hasn't changed in 40 years, as a study in the 1980s commissioned by the White House Office of Consumer Affairs showed this as the number 1 reason customers don't come back. Number 2, inconsistent information. 72% said this would drive them to find someplace else to do business. Have you ever called a company's customer support number with a question and didn't like the answer? Well, you may have called back to ask someone else the same question, hoping for a different answer. And it's amazing how many times you actually get a different answer. Number 3, inability to connect with someone from customer support. 71% said this, just 4 percentage points from the number 1 answer. Self-service or digital support is becoming more popular. Customers are learning that it's often quicker and easier to visit a website, read the frequently asked questions, or interact with an AI-fueled chatbot. However, there are times when you want to talk to a human. It should be an easy, seamless transition, but some companies hide behind a wall of digital support and make it difficult for a customer to connect to a live agent. Number 4, a bad customer service experience. This came in at 4th at 68%. But survey participants considered dealing with a rude or apathetic employee worse than an overall bad customer experience. So my interpretation is that you might get a second chance following an overall bad experience. However, if customers are treated with disrespect or rudeness and apathy, it's more than likely you won't see them again. And number 5, an inconsistent experience. You can't be amazing one day, not so great the next day, average another day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Inconsistency erodes confidence. 59% of the customers we surveyed would walk if they didn't know what to expect. Customers want a consistent and predictable experience. That gives them confidence that they know what to expect every time they do business with you. As you look at this list, you might think, hey, I knew that. Well, of course you did. So consider not just doing whatever you sell well, also do the customer service experience well. And the customers will come back. Or, as Walt Disney said, do what you do so well that they will want to see it again and bring their friends. Well, that wraps up this edition of Be Amazing or Go Home. And remember, you can find me just about anywhere on social media. So be sure to connect with us on our social channels, and don't forget to use the hashtag AskShep to ask me your questions. Thanks for tuning in. This is Shep Hyken, reminding you to always be amazing.